Welcome, everybody. This is an open gathering. It's the Enlightened Masculinity Zoom link, so I could call it Enlightened Masculinity. I may post it as a podcast. I don't know, which is nice because some of the new girls I'm talking to are listening to my podcast. So in some ways, it's a big middle finger to anybody that has anything contradictory to say to how I live my life, especially any woman that thinks that she's getting involved with me and like she has anything to say. She's just like I was telling you today, women are just straight losers. They are just a big bag of liabilities and problems and past and deception. They're no good. But if they bring some pleasure and a frictionless existence supporting me in what I do, then it's nice because there's a lot of evolution that can come through the conversations and the understandings and this and that. Yeah, so there's so much to say about it. I mean, I'll just kind of get into it. If you don't know me for the recording, when I post this is Yogi Chris, PhD, founder of Ninth Limb Yoga, captain of IMC Nation, and resident here at IMC Base 1 in San Jose, California, where I live with Rasa Pardibazar, top G player on earth. And so I posted this video here. Maybe some of you guys saw it. Nope. Whoa, not that one. Wrong one.
Woman for your husband. Trust me, the moment you
Why does it just disappear like that? I just scroll up.
Right.
Dude, that's so
you need to
weird.
bring more women for your husband. Trust me, the moment you accept this, your life's gonna change. Men need more than one woman, and men crave more than one woman. See, the thing is, we don't want to say this to ourselves. We prefer to say, I'm enough, but it has nothing to do with you. As a matter of fact, when you understand this and have this real talk with your husband, when you understand this, the bond you have with your husband will be unbreakable.
Okay, so I post that, not knowing what would come out of the woodworks. I just posted because I liked it. I wasn't doing it to like prove a point to anybody or whatever. One good comment, one I can't tell if it's good or bad. My girl comments, you know, that bond becomes unbreakable, or the bond becomes unbreakable, and then all these emojis. And then there's a couple hater girls. And one hater girl I don't follow, she doesn't follow me, so she found it through a hashtag or whatever. She says, what does that mean? I get to have multiple men as well. Kiss heart face. Which is it's very interesting. It's almost like a flirtation. And I say, ain't nothing special about that good. Ain't nothing, I should have put a punctuation there. Ain't nothing special about that. Good luck. See you in 10 years after your miseducation has run its course through you. She says, so why can a man have multiple wives but not a woman? She spoke woman wrong. I said, you can do whatever you like, but there ain't nothing special about a woman with multiple men. And there's a reason for that. Look into it. I'm not trying to be too confrontational. Like, one of the things that I could go over was what we did with royalty modeling yesterday on the social media post. Like, we saved the reputation of royalty modeling by how we attacked without attacking. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, okay, there's going to be a bunch of models that are, a lot of people are probably looking at my Instagram that don't like it. Like, they don't double tap shit.
Yeah.
And so, especially as we're about to do another run of auditions and as girls scroll through my Instagram, you know, you just need one bad apple. One bad apple infects the rest. So if just 1 in 20 girls is looking through my Instagram and gets butthurt about that post and sees not even just the post, but how I reply to bitches. And I'm like, you fucking whore, with your trash attitude, go get multiple dicks and get knocked up by one of them and watch everybody leave you away, you stupid bitch. Like I'm going to say that on, no, then she's going to spread the word to the other models. This guy is the guy running royalty modeling, this and that. And then you'll see. That's what I used to do. And I was running yoga out of Gainesville. And I mean, I wasn't as articulate to call a bitch a hoe like that. But, I would say things aggressively, angrily that, may have been right, but they showed an emotional need.
Yeah.
For the person. That's why I didn't post that video, because there's an emotional neediness in what I was saying. Because I made a video for like a minute and I was like, I made X amount of money and this and that and this and that, and you girls with your ideas putting it on me like you're failing relationships, you're failing at life, and you're going to tell me your ideas about life like I'm winning at life. And I didn't like the video afterwards because I was saying like how much I was making. I thought I was like throwing it in my friend's face. Like, I don't want to throw it in their face like that. Like, I've never seen AZD do that. Like, I just felt kind of funny about that. But then also on inspection and going through like a deadly yoga practice for 90 minutes, and coming out, I mean, I didn't think about it at all in the yoga practice, but now coming out, looking at it, I feel like Gandalf the White, now I'm Gandalf, or Gandalf the Gray, now I'm Gandalf the White. You remember when he died and he came back to Gandalf the White? I feel like Gandalf the White. So I'm looking at the same situation and I'm like, actually, I just kind of lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? The video had there was neediness. Like, I needed them to know how much money I made to prove that my Instagram is more legit than theirs or whatever, versus just the talking points. If you're failing at your ideas and you're trying to talk to me about it, like, you could go on in your life. It's the basic principle of, if you're winning in life, you don't take the time to hate on other people's posts. Any hater you have is losing in life 100% of the time. It's just what it is. And so in the case of women, any women haters, I know that you're miserable in your relationships, because if you were in love in your relationships, you wouldn't take the time to go hate on some man's post. And you might not call it hate, so I can just use a more exact term. You wouldn't take the time to argue with me on my post if you were so happy, fulfilled, and in love with your relationship. So you've just betrayed yourself. You've given it away. It's like somebody saying, fuck you, but you can tell they're really nervous in their voice. Fuck you. Like, you just can't get too intimidated by those words if it like kind of stutters out of them, And so when a woman comments contradiction on my ideas, you can't hide the fact that you're miserable in your relationship. So I already won this argument. But now I'm going to reveal it to the world through comments. And I made X amount of thousands of dollars through Instagram. And month after month after month after month, and it's growing. And I was even reflecting, Kat came around and really became more of a planet in my orbit. I think right around the time it was probably somewhere from $4,000 to $6,000 a month that I was making.
Wow.
Which was such an improvement. Could almost track my relationships based on my income. But that would be misleading to think that my income results in better relationships, because there's a lot of guys that make more than me that have worse relationships. And if I lost my money, there would be a different struggle. But I don't know. I feel so confident and certain in what I can give and offer. And it's really, the relationship isn't very expensive. I mean, how much was the food? How much was the Airbnb? Like, per month, it's not that terrible. My money goes to other things. I paid $2,000 to run the IMC party last month with the rental and paying the models and the gas money and the camera and everything. So there's my investment. So that's just an example for other people to see, other women to see. And I screenshot them in case they delete them, so that I can still make an example out of them. Because thank you, universe. Remember the Stoic teaching, everybody. And who do we have on here? Various people. Adam, I was just talking with you about phase one. So phase one is such an emphasis on Stoicism. And one of my favorite Stoic teachings is there's an advantage in all things if you look for it. And haters are an advantage. It's an advantage to get haters. Now I have a bunch of examples and some proof of my intelligence and how I reply to things. So the other hater is some Tinder chick that, and this is amazing. Like, I don't know where you guys are at in your relationships, but I'm talking about a Tinder chick on my Instagram with my two girls right in front of me. And I don't even know if you caught that. I mean, even know if that registered as like Tinder girl on your Instagram. No, probably did, because there's no acknowledgements coming in. So they're like, no, who is this fucking Tinder bitch on your Instagram? Right?
No,
are you keeping up? Are you trancing out?
No, I mean, I just feel like you talk to people on Tinder all the time, so it's just normal, right?
Okay, so we come up in awareness. I actually don't use Tinder that much.
Oh, okay.
Like, I have done boosts,
Yeah.
and Boost, it shows you to the women. I don't swipe on women.
Yeah.
Once they've swiped on you, Tinder will tell you you have like 3 new likes or whatever, and then I just swipe them.
Yeah.
And if they, are attractive enough. And I mean, there's all kinds of shit. There's like trainees and shit on Tinder, all the dating apps. Like dating, it's pathetic. I mean, where are you gonna find women these days? Like a dating app is going to be a very sexualized woman that rarely are you going to meet a good girl. And, I say that, and it's like, that's how I met Angelica. But I also met her through the yoga groups. There were multiple means of crossing paths with her. I guess Instagram seems like the best way to, if you meet a woman through Instagram, because that's probably going to be a common friend shared something and you have a common value with whatever that content was. And so there's like common values, and that's really why I get the girl onto my Instagram from Tinder, because if you can handle my Instagram, then we can talk. If you can't handle my Instagram, then I mean, I'm down for Tinder, like the other Tinder girl that's been coming over. That's like that was like, can I meet Kat? That was the basic strategy of boost my post, wait for someone to match me. Then when I see who matches me, I match them. Then I tell them, come over. I don't pen pal with them on Tinder. I just say, if you're around, come over. And she came over. I mean, there were some other messages sent. Once she agrees to that, or that she wants to do that, now I'll have the conversation. But if you're not wanting to come over, I'm not wanting to be friends first so I can convince you to date me. I mean, you're playing that game with 15, 20 other guys. Who even knows how many guys? Like, whatever, just come over. That's how I know that I should invest in this. And so this other girl, I say, come over. And she couldn't for some reason, but she sounded interested. So I was like, this week, I forget how it went. And then she was like, I can't this weekend. And I was like, okay, what about Instagram? Just so that I don't forget about you. And then, so she's on. So this is the other hater. She says, one man is not enough for a woman either. The dynamic goes both ways. And I'm even seeing now how I could say something different. Like just seeing your reaction, I could see how I would say, ooh, gross.
Ew, I wanted to say ew to that. I was just like, ew.
But it's also, could you guys imagine like one of your alpha friends saying, ooh, gross? So it's not a very manly thing. But you don't always, when you're alpha, you don't always have to be so manly, because part of the way that you can tell a man, a macho man, an alpha man from an alpha ladies man is going to be the ladies man. You can tell in how he dresses, and or how he speaks, and or how he walks, and or some of his gestures, and or some of his mannerisms, that he's adopted some female mannerisms or some female calibration to his speech. There's something feminine. There's a feminine touch to the ladies man, even if he's alpha, versus that alpha soldier, whatever, warrior that you could tell he's like a very, very, very hard metal that's also brittle. Hardness and brittleness are different. Brittle means you can't bend it even a little bit and it snaps. But it could be hard, where you can't take a chisel to it. It won't do that. That's hardness. We want to be hard and pliable. Can't even break us. So I said way too much. I said, that's why but one thing I noticed was that 3 women liked her comment. She's like, the same dynamic goes both ways.
I noticed that too.
And one of those women was one of these new girls that I've been fucking. Just to say it bluntly. That's been coming over here and hanging out. And so the reply is also for her to see. And then there's another girl there that's been following me. I didn't even know who she is. And then some other girl that must have discovered it somehow. So.
But yeah. I saw your reply and I thought you were like talking smack about your own self. So I was very confused. Yeah, because one of the girls, you're one of the guys she's with.
Mm-hmm.
So then I didn't understand your reply to that hater.
Okay, so let me say it how I wrote it, because maybe there's punctuation errors, and then tell me if it doesn't make sense. Okay, so again, she said, one man is not enough for a woman either. The dynamic goes both ways. And 3 girls liked it. 3 other girls liked it. She didn't like her own post. So that's 4 women there agreeing with that comment. I say, that's why you and the women who liked your comment are failing so miserably in all your relationships. They're loose and weak, and no man you're involved with could do jack squat to me and my tribe. Your men are so weak and pathetic, and if that's what you choose to have enter you over and over again, then you deserve everything you get with your life. But that's not my problem. You're all free to move on with your miseducated nonsense. Huh? You still feel off about it? Yeah, but okay, so I think you're just missing that I'm saying it. I mean, if that's how, are you interpreting it that way? Because that's just the grammar of it. I mean,
I didn't, but I get what you're saying. Like now that she like brought attention.
I mean, it's just retarded. What if I was with you, or I was with Jenny, and Jenny was with other men, and I said to you, all the men you're with are weak and couldn't do anything to me in my tribe. That's obviously not including myself.
Okay.
Because it's basically what I said. All the men you're with couldn't do jack squat to me. And of course, I want to say shit and whatever, but that's how you get censored and fucking. So I say, you and all the men you're with couldn't do anything to me. Because what the part of their argument is that it implies, they won't say it, but that's why you got to bring it out. Part of their argument implies that those men are the same quality as me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they being with multiple men, I must point out those men are nothing to me.
Yeah.
They couldn't stand up to me. They couldn't, in a fight, in an argument, they couldn't do anything to my tribe. They don't even have a tribe. Those are very low value men.
Yeah.
And that's why they look up to you and would be okay with that.
Yeah. I felt I didn't feel that from what you wrote, but I felt that in my meditation after I read her comment, which was like, you've obviously never been with one man that makes you feel completely fulfilled that way, because everything that person's been with is trash. So they need multiple to experience, what you're able to offer with your one being.
They still don't get to experience. They could have 10 men. They don't get to experience because the more quantity isn't giving them quality. They're not getting trust. They're not getting transparency. They're not getting honesty. They're not getting someone really looking at you and listening to you when you talk.
Yeah, facts.
They're not getting someone that can interpret your body language and your facial cues when you're getting tight about something or you're disagreeing with something. So they're just not real with each other. A man wouldn't put up with that. If he's putting up with that, he has low value. And there are people that are enslaved, captured or whatever. But let's say the slave-minded person or the person like the loser of society, the losers. And losers and winners, it's a whole spectrum. So where are they winning? Where are they losing? And how much has that accumulated? But losers more towards the bottom, winners more towards the top. The winners don't talk like the losers. They just don't talk the same. Losers don't talk the same. A man who has low value is not talking the same. He's not hearing the same. He's not communicating the same as a man that has high value. So she's surrounded by really bad communicators that aren't acknowledging her, that she's not properly acknowledging. They're just doing that animal thing.
Yeah.
And they're not even doing it that well. They're just doing it. They're doing it within a certain comfort zone, comfort space that they've been programmed to believe is okay by media, music videos, and bitches and hoes that are rapping and talking about that shit, whatever. Again, it's not my responsibility to educate her or save her. It's my responsibility to educate my tribe and save my tribe. So that's just an example for them, for anybody to see. Now with royalty modeling, we do it's a better now that it's melted a little bit.
One of the models liked my comment. I thought that was cool.
But then they deleted it, right?
No, I mean my comment on your post. One of the models liked my comment about the unbreakable bond.
Oh, let's see.
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
So
2 likes, myself and Raz. That's the girl that came to Veggie Girl. Yeah, I mean she's interesting, She's all wounded from failed marriage for the second time or something. And going all over independent woman, like all her posts are love myself,
back in the world.
Man, it's just that independent woman shit, and I just wouldn't have it. Fernanda was there and Master Myself was there when she came. I seriously corrected like 80% of what she said. Like she would say something, I disagreed. She would say something else, I say, no, it's that. It's like I didn't accept hardly anything that she was saying. But of course, trying to make it playful, smiling, and each correction, a lot of it had laughter. Some of it had like rolled eyes. Some of it had like where she would almost try to engage one of the other guys. And I would just push her a little more because she wasn't there just to see me. And she was one of the models that had interacted with everybody. So I haven't yet, broken her off of the herd and like isolated her so that she's like with me. Like she may be more into me, but that's like subjective. Somebody else could say she's more into me. Like one of my housemates is messaging with her too, and she replies. So, but she hasn't done anything that's investment yet on a sexual level. And so it's open. Whoever gets her, gets her. And if nobody gets her, nobody gets her. It's just what it is. Can't be getting all caught up and possessive about a girl that hasn't exchanged any sexuality with me. That would just be manipulative. That would be her using me and moving me through my emotions. So with royalty modeling, a lady that was one of the admins for the group, I think, and she posted in there, what do you guys think about royalty modeling? Like, has anybody done it? Have they paid anybody? I wish you had the screenshots, actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the screenshot. I wish if you could reconstruct your reply somehow.
I have it written down.
No way. Oh, man. Oh, this is good, guys. I saved royalty modeling. I swear to God. Because these bitches were about to just fucking tag team this shit.
Did I?
This is your reply?
No, that's, you want just the reply? That's her message.
I'll read this and then give me the reply.
Okay.
So this is the original post. This is a lady, Judy. I don't know if she's an admin, actually.
Just the old lady actress.
An actress in the Bay Area Actors group. I'd like to know if anyone on here is familiar with royalty modeling. I keep seeing all kinds of open calls through them for different projects. Now, in this group, my girl posts for a call for models, but so does Sultan, I think, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
So he's also in the group, and he will make a post for it. So there's two different people posting royalty modeling call for auditions. So this lady says, I'd like to know if anyone on here is familiar with royalty modeling. I keep seeing all kinds of open calls through them for different projects. I never attend open calls as I feel casting directors should look over actors' materials first and decide who they want to audition, but am wondering if others have attended these open calls. If so, are they requiring a fee of any kind to register? What exactly do they do? Has anybody actually gotten a paid role out of them? I'd appreciate any information about them. Thanks. It's just so passive aggressive. What do they actually do? Why don't, dumb bitch, why don't you fucking ask one of the people that posted a royalty modeling ad? That makes sense. You keep seeing all kinds of open calls. Why don't you fucking DM one of them? Why are you going to make up a group? Before?
She DM'd me, but I ignored her because she was over. Remember? I was at fault. She DM'd me. She wanted to come to audition.
You're at fault for not replying.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with an old bitch that replied to an ad that said 21 to 36 years old, and she's clearly 60.
She's clearly 60, yeah. And my ad is very specific.
It says with the numbers 21 to 36. So this is just stirring up some problems and drawing attention. But it doesn't matter that she's not qualified for anything that we do. She will gain the sympathy and attention from a lot of women that will just give us difficulties. What exactly do they do? Why don't you talk to the people that posted? Has anybody actually gotten, okay, that's calling it fake. I'd appreciate any information about them. And then this Mihei girl, which, I don't know, maybe I did like a phone audition with her.
You did a Zoom. She was the only one you did a Zoom audition with from San Francisco.
Yeah, man, she was just some white trash.
She was.
Messaging you. I almost want to look. I want to see where my last message with her was. Okay. Will you
Find my reply?
actually, will you airdrop that to me? That screenshot right there. I'm gonna send it to this bitch.
Air Trump. No people found. Christopher's iPhone.
No.
No.
Phone to
Well, you got it. You see how I clicked it before he said yeah?
Okay. So also messaging her, knowing that she's in the group. So I can't be calling you dumb hoe, bitch, this and that, because then she'll screenshot that and post it in the group and whatever. So I sent her the screenshot and I said, "What's this?"
Yeah, because you had a good interaction with her the last I remember.
Yeah, but her reply on that says messaging you is insinuating there's something negative to say.
Yeah.
Just commented here. I did an audition with one of the guys. I didn't do the gig, but it sounded legit.
Exactly.
But you're gonna DM it? No, you're conspiring. So if you could send me what you replied to this message.
Yep.
So remember the original message. I'd like to know if anybody on here is familiar with royalty modeling. I'm seeing blah, 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 a bunch of passive aggressive shit. Then one of these models who I had done a video audition says messaging you. Another model replies to her saying, I would love to know too, because I was wondering the same. Okay, so these are two models that haven't worked for us yet, but are, doing this whole conspiratory thing. And then
the top
I think there was another reply here also that
it was like screenshot. A man. It's on the next
one. Oh yeah, there's some man that was also saying. So here is the reply. Now I'll again read you the paragraphs that you wrote. I'd like to know if anyone on here is familiar with royalty modeling. I keep seeing all kinds of open calls through them for different projects. I never attend open calls as I feel casting directors should look over actors' material first and decide who they want to audition, but I'm wondering if others have attended these open calls. If so, are they requiring a fee of any kind to register? What exactly do they do? Has anybody actually gotten a paid role out of them? I'd appreciate any information about them. Thanks. Our reply through my girl who posted this reply to the post, and they ended up deleting the post, right?
Yeah.
Right afterwards, because this handled it. She says, I say through her, there's no fee for auditions, but there are requirements. I just replied to your private message about your inquiry on our prior project. They're not open calls. They're open calls for auditions, but you have to pass a screening process through me or one of our other scouts to receive the details. You can't just show up. And yes, 15 to 20 models have worked with us in the last 3 months, each one earning $100 to $400 per gig. I can answer any questions about royalty modeling or our project, so feel free to direct message them to me as well.
I fixed the typo.
Okay, so there were some typos in this, but that's the, okay, so basically we're saying there's no fees, but it's not an open call. You can't just show up. You have to pass our screening process. I thought there was something in her about her age, that we have age requirements.
It's in the
yeah, but I thought in the reply to the post when it says there's no fees for auditions, but there are requirements. That's where we would have said there are age requirements.
Yeah, I just said requirements.
Okay, so that's, I thought age. So basically we're saying there's age requirements. You have to pass a screening process. 15 models have been paid $100 to $400 to answer your question. Any other questions, direct them directly at me. And then they deleted the post. Yeah. So that handled it. And now we'll see what happens in this next round of auditions. And I have such a powerful thing that I'm going to do that I'm not going to tell you about. It's going to go for the royalty modeling trainees. There are 2 guys that are coming to do training in the royalty modeling. And I may divulge the secret to them. But should we succeed one more time, for the 4th time in a row, getting models to do these auditions, I don't know, how many models did we get? How many girls did I pay you for last time? I remember I sent 140 plus 25.
More than ever last time. I think we had 8 models.
8 models showed up for audition. Just through me and my girl. And that's last time. And the time before was more, and the time before was more, and the time before was more. So it's a bunch of girls. And if we should we succeed one more time, I will solidify royalty modeling. They won't be able to dispute it. I will have undisputable, not just evidence, but proof, social proof. And it's not just going to be a highlight video. We have highlight videos.
And this was quick. We did 4 months already. October, November, December, January.
Well, it was 4 months.
Yeah.
That's why there's like 30-something girls. And I was even thinking this Thursday, bringing back a little bit of women's yoga, because we have 2 months, 2 weeks till the event.
Are you ready?
Probably just anxiety, breathing for anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and then invite all the models.
Yeah.
Since we have auditions coming up, girls, how to breathe to calm yourself down and be more present, reduce any anxiety, maybe camera shyness, or, you know. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
And then you'll be on there all confident with your screen, with your camera on, your face done, and looking good, and they'll just be trash and nervous and they're gonna show up like it was a fucking hot yoga class and like not caring about their looks at all, and they'll see a woman who actually lives the model lifestyle, not just like pretends 1 hour a week or something that she's a fucking model, and she's on route to just be a cam girl is all she is. She's just a fucking glammed up cam girl. Half glammed up, half-assed cam girl. That's what most of their cam girls in training. Yeah. Okay, so this is game. This is understanding the psychology of men and women on deep levels. Like, I didn't post my video about how much money I made because I was considering the psychology of my male friends. I didn't go off on the ladies' post in the modeling group because I didn't want to. I didn't go off on the women that were hating on my post because I didn't want to make a villain out of royalty modeling. But I had my girl pulling girls to me and doing prospecting for me and creating some interactions for herself that could give herself a future, and that's game. I'm here, and girl number 1 and girl number 2 are here in the room with me while I'm talking about the royalty modeling and the Tinder girl and the whatever. This is game.
You're so proud.
Me so proud?
Uh-huh.
You're so proud?
You're so proud.
I'm so proud.
We both so proud.
I just am a proud man. Yeah, right. Well, this is game. This is like, so if you want to learn game, then Dragon's Lair, camps, come in person to camps, private moments, do the VIP parties, come and stay residency, get into a base, come and do a guardianship residency, and then just do them again and again and again. Like I look at Gio. Gio was just here as a guardian resident. That was like one of the last things I said. So Gio started Dragon's Lair. Then he did a camp online. Then he did a camp in person. Then he did the parties. He hasn't done a private moment yet. You hear that, Gio? Are you listening? You're talking a lot. You're muted, so I don't know what you're saying.
I'm listening, bro. I'm right here, bro.
All right, bro. Private moment, man. That's a missing ingredient. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro.
Here for residency for guardian. How was guardian training this last 2-3 days? You started it off,
Brother, these last 3 days, bro, it changed my mindset on how do I say this? My mindset on taking different steps, going into like yoga, into boxing, all that in my mind was like really far away. It took a lot of effort to get to those destinations. But being around you guys, going into those different worlds was like effortless. It was so simple. You really do just show up and just plug yourself in and just doing it consistently more and more, man. There's just so much dynamic and change, bro. Like me sleeping in the living room at base 1 made me more present. I was literally more present in every moment. Like I was present in the way I was eating, I was present in the way I was sleeping, my wake up, my lockdown. All of that was super visible to me. And then comparing it to you guys, seeing you guys' schedule and all that, it's just really cool. It's like where I can adapt and plug in the type of life that I want to live every day. And of course, there's going to be changes, and I just see you guys through the changes because, you know, life throws you curveballs. And the way how you guys do it was smoothly, oh man, that was so inspiring because there was moments where I felt like I don't know how to communicate properly, and I would ask Sultan, what do you think? Should I put this on the test group? Should I put it like that? Yeah, very smooth, just like that. It's like, oh man, heck yeah, man. But there's so much, bro, that happened in those 3 days. But I feel a lot more flexible, a lot more free, a lot more lighter, and my whole body itself it's not the same.
Man, dang, that's great. Is Powerhouse here? Oh, you missed all of that. Oh man, that would. Oh no, he's there. Man. Yeah, he's right there. That's great because Powerhouse sponsored Geo, so that's probably, man, that felt really good. And that's just the beginning, man. You were here for 2-3 days, and yeah, presence. That's a big deal. You know, everybody's got their abilities they've developed in different areas of life. So Geo has great psychic abilities. He's a sorcerer, a meditator. He's got, you know, a lot of deep esoteric knowledge on, you know, an astrology and all that stuff. Chick crack, we call it. He's got all that chick crack. And there's a reason he won the parties 2 times in a row. The girls voted on him, right? And,
yep.
You know, but physical fitness is not necessarily one of those highest things that Geo is like a fucking bodybuilder, like fitness model. You know what I'm saying? But he stayed in it. Oh man, that was the funniest thing I think I've ever seen their first Bikram class. Man, yeah. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of like when you walk your dog way too long and like you went too far and you have to turn around and come back and the dog is struggling to like make it back. And if you have the kind of dog that has like really floppy ears, and I could just see the ears and his like head is like as he's like trying to walk, like that was kind of Geo at the end of the yoga class. You know, and so I'm sure that was very cleansing and enlightening and awakening. Oh, there you are. You were frozen there for a second. So, man, that's great. So he's coming back. So yeah, Geo and private moment. So that's one ingredient that's been missing up until in this Guardian training. And you know, and it's a repeated action. So multiple private moments, multiple times coming to the parties. You haven't been to the parties since those first 2 parties way back when. So getting yourself into a party somehow. I mean, this is just priority. It's, you know, I think of myself as 25 years old because I started studying this stuff 7 years ago. And that would basically, like, let's just say I'm 18. So I get out from under my parents' roof and I can start learning new things in the world that aren't just like through my parents' approval. And so I feel like I'm 7 years past 18. I feel like I'm 25, even though I'm 36. Like I was 11 years studying some other stuff, you know? So in a lot of ways, I think that you guys that are younger than me, which is most of you, have a great advantage over me. And the guys that aren't younger than me, there's an advantage in all things if you look for it. So there's definitely an advantage that you have being whatever age you're at. But there's an easy to identify advantage when the guy is younger than me and he's already in IMC. He's already been to parties. He's already been to the strip clubs. He's already been, you know, to the camps, been around the tribe. That's a difficult thing. Okay. Oh, you're going to record something? Oh, I thought you were like showing the time or whatever. So just prioritizing these things and repeating them. I was telling Adam earlier how much I've invested in my education here. It's still not as much as I invested in my PhD, which I don't use. But this I keep using. I have some evidence in front of me of what I'm using it for. I have the whole time I've been talking about evidence of the results of this game. I have now earned more income from this than I have invested. But I've invested more than any of you, except for Oracle. But I didn't start earning money until I got to a certain threshold, about 60% of that figure that I told you, Adam. I told you about how much I had invested. About 60% of that is when I started actually making money. And then even then I was still invested. Then I still was investing into more training. But I'm making money while I'm investing. So it's a very interesting flow of money where you make money, but then you turn around and pay it. And it's like, man, I'm not even making money. But you are paying for your training. And the training is some real value. It's real value. Because when you're talking to the woman and you can create a more pleasurable interaction, you can create a more pleasurable experience in her through the conversation. Or you could hand her a diamond ring or a diamond necklace or some gold or some food and see what kind of feelings just some raw physical pleasure can bring her. Here's some resources. Here's some survival. And you'll see how much pleasure that brings her and how long that pleasure lasts. Versus a great conversation. How much pleasure that brings her and how long that pleasure lasts. They're both survival value. Because the survival value is how she feels. Does she feel safe? Does she feel secure? Does she feel pleasure, which is the neurology's, it causes pleasure when you're surviving better. Pleasure is the result of better survival. So all those other material pleasures are mimicking survival, but that's not the real survival, even though it may seem like money and cars are the real survival. That's mimicking survival. Just like paper money is not real money. It's a note. It's a bank note to represent real wealth. Now, I'm not going to argue that the money could, pay your medical bills. It could buy you food, rent, save your parents. Like money is super essential. But what I'm saying is that this investing in this training gives you real value in your mindset and in your communication skills so that through the interaction with the woman, you are delivering value to her by just speaking it into her mind, just like you would inject medicine into a patient. You're giving her medicine for her mind, for her life. Like I was telling Megan earlier, I make your life make sense to you. Mm-hmm. And that's what the girls that are commenting, their lives don't make sense to them. Yeah. Their lives definitely don't make sense to me. But I can make it make sense through the conversation because you'll say something that's off logic and I'll bring it back. And you'll say something off and I'll bring it back. And the art of it is bringing it back in a way that doesn't make her feel dumb, doesn't make her feel disrespected. And that's the delicate nature of the fucking, half re-stimulated, holy evil being called a woman. That you got to walk on eggshells with her, because if I really spoke the way that I would speak, like with my guys, or just the way I want to speak, especially with a new woman, I do it more and more with you. I do it more and more with you. And so this has been a very freeing talk for me where I could, what?
More and more with me?
Yeah. I mean, you think I'm completely uncensored when I talk to you?
You're not.
Have I changed in my communication towards you over the last 2 years? Mm-hmm. Didn't you think in the beginning I was being fully honest with you?
Yeah.
So how is it that it kept changing if I was always being full disclosure?
Because the level of detail.
Mm-hmm. And the detail was, those details existed prior to that.
Yeah.
They just weren't spoken on.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's out of place, it's out of order. I don't have 10 hours to explain something.
But that's not what I was referring to. I meant like uncensored in your self-expression of how you feel and just like not even like the details on what you do, but like how you are, like when we're together.
I would say
even just the way that you correct me.
Yeah,
it's very uncensored.
And I appreciate you giving the feedback, because as I'm looking at it, I can see how I am conflating, which means like confusing and mixing together two different kind of ideas. One is this like always saying what I want to say. And then there's this other one where it's like considering if it's going to be offensive to the person, calibrating what you're going to say so that it can be received. Yeah. Is that, and and there may be at some point a fine line between me calibrating versus me censoring. How I can kind of change around what I'm saying so that you can hear it, versus when I change something in what I'm saying, do I lose any of the original thing that needs to be said?
The transference.
If I need to kind of adapt my wording, like it's the old silent flute teaching of you can't change a word in a sentence without changing its meaning. You can't change anything in a sentence without changing its meaning. You couldn't change a comma. You couldn't change the punctuation, capitalization, change anything in any of the characters, any of the words. You change the overall meaning somehow. Mm-hmm. So if I calibrate my communication, that means I'm changing what I'm saying. Now, can I be fully truthful? Like, so there is a consideration of you, but there's also consideration of anybody I'm talking to. So maybe that's what I'm saying. I'm conflating my consideration with censorship. I am pretty uncensored with you. I don't know that there's anything that I don't tell you. There are timings of things. So I may delay just for timing's sake to make it more appropriate, or to try to make it more appropriate. That's a consideration. Yeah. And that's why sometimes I just blurt it out, because I'm like, this consideration is causing me to hold this thing in, trying to delay it for the right timing. And it's fucking me up. I don't like feeling like I'm holding something. I just want to be able to say it. But then that quickly violates this other thing where it's like, consider who you're talking to and what you're saying to them, and that they have feelings, they're human. Like, okay, so but if I calibrate it all, that is some degree of censorship. Like, censorship is really just like a massive recalibration, to the degree that it's like most people would agree it's dishonest or misleading or something. Yeah. So it's like a spectrum. Yeah, it's altered, but that's what calibrating is. I'm altering what I'm saying. And
that's what evolution is.
Well, there's a lot that evolution is. That's not exactly what it is. So yeah, I would say I'm very free. I mean, what can I talk about with you girls? Talked about potentially moving, potentially not. Talked about, other girls. I've talked about money. I've talked about.
When you told me that maybe you would be a sex guru.
Okay, so there was a time that I told my girl I might become a sex guru.
I'm sorry for laughing so loud, but like that was its whole thing. Yeah.
And that didn't necessarily feel good for you at the time.
I mean, it took like 2 hours to really like feel good about it.
Right. So this is game, because you can't just expect a woman, even if she's with you, to just pleasurably accept everything you say because she's with you. You start to assume that she has all this agreement with you because she's with you, but it's like I was telling you, I was like, these new girls, like, they've interacted with me for like 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, like, whereas you've listened to hundreds of hours of me. You're up there because you've interacted with me so much, and I let you just talking to me, interacting with me. So it's like, there's so much mindset that and still, compare that to the tens of thousands of hours you've lived before me. There's a lot of habits in there. That's why I say I feel like I'm 25, because what was I doing those 11 years in between 18 and 29 or whatever? Just a bunch of other habits, counter habits to what I'm creating now, that I keep overriding and rewriting or whatever. So like a new girl, she may be compliant, she may be submissive. She's not that invested, and so I'm not that invested. She's 10 hours in to a 10,000 hour journey. It's like, all right, good job, keep going. It's like not that impressive that you're 10 hours in yet. Is it making sense?
It's just like, it is making sense. The words, I understand what they mean, but not like the point. Like, you meaning like as far as her value?
She doesn't know who I am, and I don't know who she is. We've interacted 10 hours. She's lived so many thousands of hours with so many habits and so many prior experiences and so many whatever relationships, whatever she's come. And it's just like, she's behaving now within the range that I accept. Yeah. But I'm not fooled that woman is just, I don't even know who she is. Yeah. She's basically a stranger. Yeah. That's just acting right enough that I can treat her the way I want. And I'm safe. I live in a house with 3 other alpha men. I got a pistol right there, and like what's she gonna do to me? I didn't tell you, we have our code red signal, so if a girl starts going ballistic in the house and it's like yelling and maybe even starts throwing something, like, we text the group code red, and then all the other guys come and handle her and remove her so that I don't have to, or the guy doesn't have to, or the guy doesn't have to. So we actually have that code in place in case a woman starts going AWOL. A new woman, old girl, anything in between.
Have you had to use it yet?
No. No. But it's there.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
It's really not.
Why?
It's like a huge trigger. Like I just like
Good.
feel sick just thinking about it.
Good. Why?
Because I would never want to interact with your housemates ever in my life.
That's why you should never go ballistic.
I think that you used it in moments where ballisticness wasn't
Use
like
what?
you already said threatened it.
Threaten
without-
what? We just invented it.
I know, but just on Monday you said it.
You
And
laughed. I was joking. I said, don't go AWOL or I'm going to threaten you with, I'm going to code red the house.
I know, but it still triggered me. I
Well,
know,
that's
'cause-
fine that it triggered
I-
you, but it's still super cool that you thought it was super cool until I said, I'll code red your ass if you fucking go AWOL on me or something, which you laughed at the time, but you thought it as an interesting idea.
Well, I thought it through because I had to integrate in my mind that I know who these people are and I wouldn't, and that
It doesn't
sometimes-
matter if you know who they are.
Well, like sometimes I have an emotional time and I think that you
An
are really-
emotional time? What does
Yeah.
that mean?
like Monday was really small, you know, it was a really small situation. And
You were
still
fucking
brought it up.
laughing hysterically.
Like
You
in
were
the
laughing
vehicle,
in the
right?
vehicle. When I said, I'll code red your ass if you, no, don't do that. You were laughing. So your problem, you don't think it's cool. You think it's triggering that we
I
have a
think
thing
it's
called
triggering,
code
yeah.
red.
But,
Good.
I mean,
Good.
probably could, yeah.
It's very good. I'm glad. I hope that triggers you or any other girl that I tell that to.
Yeah.
If they get triggered, that's a yellow flag.
Yeah.
Do you
It's
see that?
definite. I mean, maybe. It makes me want to be like, for sure, like if I start to feel emotional, that I know that I should remove myself because I'd never want to like try and work it out with you past the point of where I would get too emotional to like enter that. That it's very scary for me. I worked through it like in my meditation when I was the next day feeling some tension and I was like holding onto my chest and I came up the memory of that and then memory of pictures and images.
Memory of what?
Well, maybe we talk about it after the podcast.
Okay, yeah. Well,
But yeah, I think
it's a very safe measure for me. And I'm number one in my life. I care about me the most. More than anybody else, I care about me. We have code red in our base. And if you fucking act up to the level that I need to code red your ass,
Yeah.
I will tell you before I'm going to code red your ass if you don't settle the fuck down.
well, I'm not really worried that it would happen.
Well, that's the
but-
only thing that would be triggering because is the worry that it would happen to you because you'll never ever have to deal with any of my housemates unless you get coded red.
Right, but before that, it was never, ever, 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 ever.
No, it would still happen. We just didn't have a code.
Yeah.
Now we have a legit code. Don't think if you were throwing shit in my room, I wouldn't walk out there and be like, somebody else go fucking handle that bitch. I'm gonna punch her in the face, drag her the fuck out of here.
beat that bitch with that.
I would have done that. You don't get that the code red was already in place. We just didn't have a code for it.
Okay.
If you acted up, the guys were gonna step in.
Well, yeah, I mean, if that's psychotic behavior, like I get that.
So then what's triggering about us having a code fucking red? See, I got a problem with a woman that has a problem with me protecting my life.
It's none. It's not the protection.
So what's
it's just,
triggering about it?
Even the idea of that anything in the world could happen that could put me in that position.
That's so selfish of you
Yeah. Dang.
because you're not worried about mistreating me, the cause of me code redding you. You're worried about dealing with housemates after I code red you. You got a bigger problem with housemates potentially interacting with you than you violating me, which
That's
got you
not
code
true.
redded.
Because my first number one concern entirely in my entire life would be to disrespect you and hurt you. That's like
You
my
couldn't hurt
biggest
me if you
sadness.
tried.
Well, not hurt you, but do wrong you before like my own, you know, like
Well, listen, that's
You're
very nice of
triggered.
you to say. You don't have that opinion when you're in evil cat phase.
yeah.
You have that opinion of your now, which is
Yeah.
very nice to say. It's good to admit. I mean, you know?
Yeah.
It's, but the only thing triggering, or the only thing that could, you know, it's only just the misbehavior and lack of control of yourself. So if it's good if it brings to you more accountability, or you want to allow yourself to get good, you should leave if you're going to get that emotional.
Yeah.
You don't have to solve things right in front of you like that if you're not able to handle shit. And it's very unlikely that I would ever escalate to that level with a girl.
Yeah.
It's more likely in a new girl. It would be like if a new girl found out that I was with other women and she didn't know, but she'd already like invested in me or something. And then she just starts going ape shit and like throwing shit. Okay, that's more likely than either of you going to that direction, but it is a code that's in place. All right. Cool. All right, everybody. Thank you for attending. I don't see any other comments, questions. There's a few guys that need to join Dragon's Lair. You're not on Dragon's Lair. A few other guys need to join camps. You've never joined camps. A few other guys that you got to come in person. You haven't been in person. And, you know, maybe you're working out, like some of you are abroad, like in New Zealand or something. And then if you're coming in person, then, man, you got to do a private moment and do the private parties. If you haven't done the private moment, then you don't know what social presence is. And if you haven't done the private parties, then you don't know game. You just, whatever you know more game than the basic, you know, estrogen soaked, Generation Z or whatever. Is that what it is? Gen Z, Gen X, Millennial. You got the testosterone level of a millennial, or you're comparing your game to those. You're comparing your game to millennials. That's not game. What do you recommend is next for Oracle? Well, when's the last private moment you did? When's the last communing with nature you did? When's the last throwaway monologue you did? Have you been memorizing a throwaway monologue? Are you on the process, the Manu Tech process? You know, and that's the first things that come to mind. And the other thing, I mean, we could talk about the modeling training. I think, completing base leadership and whatever, self-discipline needs to happen for that to be a solid choice. And yeah, but I think the private moments has kind of been left behind. Like that is no longer a significant thing to be going after. So that's what I recommend. All right, everybody. Thank you for your attendance, and I'll see you on the next stream. Os.